In one of my other videos, I talked about how we had introduced the picture form of words as well as the standard and unit form, because we've started delving into place values, so we're talking about all the different ways you can show or represent a number. So one of the ways you can do it is the standard form, which is one that we all know. It's the regular way we write a number. So for instance, if I were to write this number, 416, that is the standard form. It's the regular way that I write it. Now, if I were to do the picture form, I have to make sure I line it up starting with the 1. So I have 400, and then I have my 16. I start in the ones place and then work my way back over. Now from here, I have to draw a picture. I can't just put the numbers. So we know that our ones are dots, our tens are sticks, and our hundreds are boxes. So I need 6 ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you drop down for 6. The reason why is because we're practicing counting by fives for not only for our clock for telling time, but it also helps us whenever we're having to count these. We have 110, and then we have 4 hundreds. So this is the picture form, which is where we draw the number. From there, we talked about and introduced the unit form. The unit form is telling me how much of each unit you have. How many hundreds, how many tens, how many ones, and how many thousands. So in this case, I have 4 hundreds. I have 110. And I have 6 ones. So this is my unit form. I can do it vertically like this, or I can do it horizontally. Now with the unit form, sometimes on our Eureka stuff, it'll have them out of order, where it'll say 6 ones, 4 hundreds, and 110, and it'll ask the students to put them together in the correct order. So that is something we do need to make sure that we are practicing. Now, today in our lesson, we went over the unit form again. We also introduced the word form and how to pull out our place value with a number bond. So, the way I told my kids to do this is to say the number first. So we say the number, we have 416. So, I gave them a number word chart so they could know how to spell their words. So if we're making 416, well, what's the first thing that I say? 4. So I look for that number. Here's 4, and here's how to spell it. And so I copy it over. 4. Now, from there, I said 400. So I go and I look for my 100. Here it is, but it says 100. Now, we talk with them about how, do I have 100? No, I don't. I have 400, so I don't need the 1. I just need the 100 part. So that's the part that I copy. 100. Now, in this case, I have 16. Now, in some cases, we have 22, 31, 61. Those are going to look a little different, and I'll show one later. But when we have a teen number like this, under 20, they, of course, have their own different names. So I look for that number, 16, here's 16, and then there's how to spell it. So I copy the number down, 16. Some kids, they'll be like, oh, it's 60, and they'll write this here, when it's actually 16. They got to be careful to check. So that's how we use this to help us with our word form, which our word form is simply writing the number with only words. Now, then we have the number bond. So the number bond is simply a way to help us pull out the values of numbers. So we start with our whole, which is our total number, which is 416. From here, I'm going to pull out each piece because I need my different parts that make my whole. So we had 400, so I'm going to write that number. This time I'm writing the number 400. It's not just 4, it is worth 400. Just like this 10, this 1 is worth 10, and the 6 is worth 6. So one of the ways I review this with the kids is we had our hide zero cards, which I'll go over in another video. And it shows the kids when you pull the number out what it actually is. So 6 is in the ones place, so you count by ones. I have 6 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's just 6. Now we're in the tens place, so now I count by tens. 10. All right. And then we have 4 in the hundreds place, so I count by hundreds. 100, 200, 300, 400. And that's what helps them know the value of these numbers. This becomes very important once we get into our next way of representing numbers, because it's called expanded form, and they need to be able to pull out these values to be able to do it well. Now let me give you a different example. So, say for instance, instead I have the number 752. So that's the standard form, the regular way to write the number. Now if I were to draw this, I would do 700s, and I do rows of 5, drop down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. There's my picture form where I drew it. Now let's do the unit form. I have 700, so this is numbers and words. 700s, 5 tens, and 2 ones. Where I'm just, unit form is telling me how much of each unit. Now let's do the word form. Let's get our chart. So when I say this, I say it first. 752. So first I gotta find the 7. So I find my 7 and I write it down. Then I have my 100, and once again, I just use the hundreds part because I already know that it's 700. Now, this one's different than our teen numbers because it says 50. So I find my 50. Here it is. There's how to spell it. Now, when I do 50 or any of my 10 numbers, 20 and above, I have to put a dash to show that it's together. 52. So now I need my 2. So that way it tells me that it goes together. So they have to remember to put that dash there. Just like last time, we have our whole, which is 752, and I pull out my parts. I know that we had the 5 is counting by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, because I have 5 tens. I have 2 ones, 1, 2, and I have 7 hundreds, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 700. And all of these are parts that make the whole, so it doesn't matter where they go in the number bond as long as the whole is here. If I have the whole down here, I'm saying that these go together to make this number. So these have to make that number. So that's a review of what we talked about. I hope this was helpful.